Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Kroger Delivery makes it easy to do your holiday shopping in a jingle. There might be a lot on your to-do list, but thanks to Kroger Delivery, you can get everything you need delivered straight to your door at the same great prices you'd find in store. Our refrigerated trucks always ensure that your groceries arrive fresh. And right now, you can save $20 on your first order of $75 or more and get free delivery with a Boost membership. Restrictions apply. See site for details. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to part 2 of this weekend's Achtung Millwall, covering, of course, that dramatic late equaliser versus Sunderland. Millwall 1, Sunderland 1, finished on Saturday. Joining me to chew over the cud and review a few of our voice notes, it's the man himself, Mr. Merv Payne. Merv, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks, Nick. Thanks for having me on.
Always good to have you. What a dramatic game that was on Saturday, Merv. We were just saying off air, it was a very strange game in hindsight. Bitty in the first half, we weren't very good. And then a total transformation in the second half. I'd love to know what Neil Harris says in the dressing room at half-time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely. I think I saw News at Den quote him online as saying we were fucking awful in the first half. Which, if he
well,
said
I would agree with him.
Fair play to him. You know,
Yeah.
like somebody who speaks their mind rather than some of the riddles you get from some managers. Yeah, I mean, you've got a blast from our party. Ian Holloway down there at Swindon, who apparently is blaming the haunted training ground.
That made me laugh.
Yeah. So, he's a gift that keeps on giving, isn't he? Not that he's living rent-free in my head or anything, but I just have a little chuckle every time someone else gives him a job. And he's going to take someone else into the non-league now, like he did with Grimsby.
It was like a ghost appearing out of nowhere, Merv.
Yeah.
With that line.
Yeah.
But,
I think that's the sort of thing you want from your manager. I remember the famous or infamous now John Sitton halftime team talk on the Channel 4 documentary, which cost him his career and his job and his career. Yeah. And I remember thinking at the time, that's what any fan, when your team hasn't performed or when they need to kick up the arse, that's what a fan expects a manager to do. And I think people like Fergie, they were the prime exponents of it. It's how you do it. And I think
you've got to care as much as the fans. Yeah. I mean, there's obviously a way to do it. And, I've just watched a little online clip of Roy Keane inviting out an Ipswich fan who has something to say to him. And, was it Sunday or Saturday?
Sunday, yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah.
Which is a laugh, but there's got to be limits as to how far you want to take that. But I think everyone can get the to and fro there. So but I mean, going back to Saturday's game, and we were very poor in the first half. It was a very strange match in many ways. I found because it was quite a bitty first half. Referee blowing up constantly. Sunderland, I thought, were looking to do us some damage, and I think we really dodged a bullet. I mean, we were a goal behind from a fairly well struck chance, weren't we? And but then after that, I thought they actually looked quite dangerous coming down the flanks at us. I thought both Joe Bryan and Ryan Leonard had a bit of a torrid time in the first half, but a transformation in the second half after the medical break. I mean, that was a very strange incident in itself, Merv. I mean, you and me go back a long way between us, and I can't think of anything quite like it. with two fairly major medical situations interrupting a game of football at Millwall, certainly, and they were totally unrelated, opposite sides of the ground. I can't think of anything quite like it. We had the incident a few years ago with a guy at Northampton, and then the famous Cardiff fan, but they were individual incidents. I mean, I think the medical team were at full stretch there. I did see that the Sunderland doctor came upstairs to where I sit in the West Upper, and he was needed there because I think the Millwall team were at full stretch. So that was quite something. I've never seen anything quite like that. No,
I mean, all the years I went to the old ground, we certainly weren't aware of anything like that happening. No. God knows what they would have done if that place was even half full, because it was largely inaccessible, wasn't it? Really, we didn't have the facilities they've got now. Yeah. But you seem to be hearing or seeing more and more in the last few years, which it's. But you've got to be sort of grateful that the staff are on hand to deal with it, and by all accounts they played a blinder. So. Hopefully.
I think it's worth saying. I mean, a couple of things that arise in my mind as I'm thinking about it. I mean, number one is the medical team at Mill was pretty good. I think they are generally, in all fairness. I think our team is the one that we know and love, and they've done a few things over time to help fans in difficult situations. I don't know enough about either of these two cases to talk about them, so I'm not going to go there. But they've clearly played a big part. The Sunderland chaps, the club doctors, come upstairs to help out in the West Upper. So big kudos to them for that. But I suppose just thinking back to the old days, you and me, we all wax lyrical and go all nostalgic for Cold Blow Lane in the old days, but. You're right. If somebody killed over there, I don't know what you would have done. You'd been really up against it because there was no accessibility at all. It's the reason why they had to redesign the stadium for one of them. Anyway, So there's a living example in front of our eyes as to why football had to change. But I'm just looking at the Football League paper. They lead off on the medical situation, which does a fairly dramatic game a disservice because I thought we really clawed our way back into that game in the second half, and the spirit and the steel that the team showed after a poor first half, Merv, was quite something. It's a real tribute to Neil Harris's team that second half. You can only turn around a bad start, can't you? And that's what we did.
Well, and I think what you've got to look at as well is, I know perhaps some fans were hoping for a similar sort of swashbuckling performance that we saw against Burnley and Leeds and that, and maybe nicking another 1-0 win. But it's another unbeaten game. We're 8 unbeaten.
Yeah,
we've lost 2. No, I only just noticed this before we come on, but I was just totting it up, and we've lost 2 games in 14 league matches since we lost at Bristol City on the 17th of August, which is pretty good going at this level. It is a really hard level.
Well, the club for our lack of resources.
I know people don't like us keep going on about it, but it is a fact. And the way Harris has built the squad now is, all the while it was 1-0, I was, for once, I'm usually the most pessimistic Millwall fan going. Quite often, if a away team nicks an early goal, I just feel that's going to be the final score. But now, I thought as long as it stays 1-0, we've always got a chance. And I was mindful that Sunderland have shipped quite a lot of late goals lately as well. I think they were 2 up in their last game. They ended up drawing 2-2 at home to Coventry. So I thought, well, they do have some sort of weaknesses there, and perhaps the extra sort of delay might have been more beneficial to us. But all the while the game was going on, and when I saw the sort of subs he was bringing on, he was doing very attack money from the subs. I thought, well, I'd rather he went for it and we nicked a point, or we ended up getting beat 2 or 3. You might as well go for it, and thankfully it paid off for him. And but it's really encouraging to think we can throw on players like Aziz and Imaku.
Yeah,
and they were bowling. Sunderland looked really troubled by Imaku, and I think I really hope we see more of him, and because it's I think there was rumours that there was a falling out and perhaps a worry that we wouldn't see him again and he'd disappear in January. But thankfully, this proves that the door's never closed with Harris, and he's given him a chance, and it seems like he's gone for it.
He's taken it. No. To Harris's credit, I mean, no one really knows what goes on behind closed doors. That's a song, isn't it? That's an old song, listeners. And for whatever reason, there seems to have been a bit of disgruntlement between Neil Harris and Idemo Marker. Who knows? But I thought the potential of the boy. He had a wobbly bit of form back at the start of the season. We haven't seen him. Almost a bit of a forgotten man. A lot of talk of him being shipped out in January, Merv. And then, I thought he really showed what he can do, because the goal, when it finally did come, 90 plus 3 minutes, was entirely, in my opinion, a creation of Idemo Marco. I mean, you look at that run, the strength to hold off the defender, Merv, the pace, killed him with pace, and got a really decent cross across the face of the goal to be met by Femi Aziz, another player who's, you know, turned his form around. And, you know, he's done it more recently, but you know, I mean, I said it on the other show. I say it again to listeners. I didn't think I wasn't, you know, I think the boy had anything going for him when he first appeared, but he's rammed those words back down many a throat, mine included, because I thought he really did show his potential. And what a finish! Saturday.
Well, this is it. I mean, he looked really good at Stoke, and I remember saying with a bit more composure, he could have had a goal there. But I mean, he showed great composure. It was far from a tap in his goal. You know, he had to place it himself. He had to get it just right. And I think the really exciting thing about Emakhu and Aziz is I think they're quite interchangeable. You know, both can play in wide roles and get out wide and get crosses in. Excuse me, and both can play sort of more centrally as well. And they've got an eye for goal. So we could have two really good sort of players in two positions there that Harris can use. You know, as he did for impact on Saturday. Which absolutely really exciting if they keep them fit and they keep on form.
Pace and power, winning combination. I'd love to see it. Dramatic late finish. I love the post. I think it's a chap called William, a Sunderland fan. I don't know if you've seen this on Twitter, Merv. He said we celebrated that equaliser like we won the World Cup. I'm not sure what in William's world what we're supposed to do with a late equaliser.
I know.
Are you not meant to celebrate? You know, I think someone said that against Burnley and Leeds, similar kind of post. It's a default. It's a nonsense post. What are you meant to do?
It's a really it's a lazy little dig, isn't it? I've seen something else going around, quite a nice little joke, mostly on Facebook, saying that the club shop are going to release a limited edition home shirt with 3 stars on above the back. You know, each time we've won the World Cup. I think one or two maybe had a few stellars, thought it was real, but no, a really nice little little joke going around there, which gave me a chuckle.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just, it's a standard default thing for the people who probably should know a lot better.
Yeah.
But I thought it was just one. That's why you go to football, Merv. Those moments, you know, it was
definitely.
We done a lot in the second half, in my opinion. I think we clawed our way into it, but we hadn't really created any real definitive goal-scoring chances. A couple of shots at the goalkeeper he was up to. Yeah, but we hadn't really done. And then to get that, you know, with 60 seconds, 120 seconds to go. That's why you go to football. If you don't celebrate that, I don't know what the point of the whole thing is, really. You might as well go home.
You can imagine how Sunderland would have celebrated if they'd, you know, gone down the other end and scored again.
Well, they were loud enough, and they scored a good goal. I thought it was a good finish by their men. They're entitled to celebrate it. And I think they thought they had it in the bag. If I'd have been bothered to reply to William, which I wasn't, Merv, but I would have said that their team dropped to their knees in what looked like a kind of an exhausted despair. So, you know, if we're entitled to celebrate, then they're not entitled to sink to their knees in pain at that concession. So there we are. Enough about him. So we've got a few voice notes to run through here with you, Merv. I'm going to play the first one here. It's John Rankin. Let's have a listen to John.
Hello, Nick. Hi, listeners. John Rankin here, just calling in after the 1-1 draw with Sunderland. What a fantastic match. Such a shame we conceded that early goal. I think it was about the 12th minute. It was headed out into a group of players, and the Sunderland player, very good technique. I don't know who it was, but very good technique. Kept the ball down, knee over the ball, volleyed it into the bottom left-hand corner. Jensen unsighted through a melee of players, and 1-0. First half, I think we gave them far too much respect. We gave them too much space. They were all over us. Technically, and we just couldn't get into the game, and we did well to sort of survive up until the medical emergencies. Really, we fought our way back in the game. We were getting some possession, breaking the play up and doing well, and but that first 25 minutes of the match, I thought they were going to put 2 or 3 goals on us. So anyway, into the first half, after the very sort of prolonged wait for the medical emergencies, and a different team came out second half, absolutely brilliant. I was most impressed. Only one side looked like scoring a goal in that second half, and it was us. Really, really good, aggressive play, you know, getting our foot on the ball, winning the second ball. That was the big difference in the second half. The first half, we were losing the ball quite a bit and not regaining it, or the ball would go up and, battle the heads, and once it was on the deck, Sunderland would get it. But second half, we got plenty of second ball. And we did really well, started to dominate the midfield. Casper Nora had a really good game, I thought. He's really come on a bundle the last 3 or 4 games. Very, very good player. He would be my first choice midfielder now. And it would be someone playing with Casper Nora as opposed to someone playing with Billy Saville in that 2-man midfield. So that was really good to see. Going through the second half, there were a couple of good shots. Josh Coburn, lovely shot. He played really well. He's a handful. And Casper Nora had a really good shot, which I thought was going to be a goal. And I thought, we're going to go down 1-0 here. And all of a sudden, Harris took Hutchinson off and brought on Imaku and Aziz and a few others. And we had lots of attackers on the pitch. And I thought Imaku was just instant energy. Instant electric, absolutely unbelievable. As soon as he gets the ball at his feet, he turns the defender around and he's trouble. And trouble in a good way for us, in a bad way for opposition teams. Absolutely fantastic. Through he went, purposeful, running at the goal, got a shot off on his left peg, pulled across it, because I think he's a right footer, isn't he? So he pulled across the ball, but coming in the far post was Aziz. What a fantastic goal, what an atmosphere. So, well done Millwall. We're going down to Portsmouth on Wednesday, a few of us driving down there. Come on, you Lions!
Great stuff, John. Thank you very mumuch, mate. Atmosphere, Merv. I was listening to a little clip that's doing the rounds on, it's Gary Rowett's podcast. I don't know if you've heard it. It's talking with Dave Carolan, who I think was his fitness coach at Millwall, and he's talking about the impact that the Den has, both on our players, sometimes good, mostly good, but sometimes not so. But the impact it has on opponents and how wearing it is to play in front of it, and how the crowd can be, as I think Carolan described it, not just the 12th man, but the 13th and possibly the 14th man in the pit and the team as well. And I think we do take it for granted a little bit, because it was a really, really good atmosphere on Saturday. Obviously, as the game lifted and, the players need to give us something to get behind, which they did in the second half. But that was, and then when the goal went in, it was like an earthquake inside the ground. I think we take it for granted a little bit. And I think sometimes, we get a little bit, not dismissive, but we don't think about it. But I think it does have a real impact on opposing sides.
Yeah, have you seen there's a clip going around which was filmed from the away end at the Burnley game towards the end of the match?
Right, I haven't seen that. No.
Yeah, it's going around. I think it's on Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah,
and it's basically just filming them singing "No One Likes Us," and it's deafening. It's distorting the speakers on his phone. And to be fair, the guy on the phone even says that is amazing, that is brilliant, and they're actually envious of the atmosphere we're generating, and that
Yeah,
that's a TV game as well, and it is. I mean, and I think it's improved massively since Neil Harris returned as well.
Yeah, absolutely, agree. Yeah,
they feed. We all know that the fans and the player, they feed off each other. You can't have one without the other. There's only so much you can whip up an atmosphere at the start of a game. The players have got to respond and keep that going. And so often in the past we've seen the atmosphere has been good for the first 10 minutes, and the dross on the pitch has sort of sucked the life out of it, and you're waiting for something to get you going, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
and then it's at that point that the Millwall crowd or any home crowd can become more detrimental than
restive.
Yeah. And you hear a lot of visiting managers at Millwall saying the aim was to quieten the crowd, because they think once they've done that, then they've achieved like their first goal towards getting a result. But yeah, it far outweighs any disadvantages when they're on full song. People, even away fans, grudgingly have to admit it's one of the best there is.
I think you're right about Neil Harris. I'm not here to knock Gary Rowett. I think he did a good job for us, but he never fully understood the club. I think he's not of it, and whereas Neil Harris is of it, through and through. And I think that's the big difference. I mean, I can think of some of the great managers of the past. They understood. I mean, going back to say Kenny Jackett, for example, and before that in the old days, John Docherty and so on. They got it. Absolutely, the cliched phrase. and it does become a weapon. I think it very much has against the three big teams we've seen off largely and pulled back with Sunderland on Saturday. And that aggressive approach that John mentions is crucial. If you give a Millwall crowd an aggressive style of football, they'll forgive a lot, Merv. In terms of quality,
they will. Yeah, definitely.
And I think that was key in the second half. I mean, I'm not going to bash Sean Hutchinson. I wasn't aware of it in real time, but his header for the goal was kind of probably poorly directed. And I think he needs a little bit of sharpness coming back into the side, filling in for Jake Cooper, who's a big loss. But I thought overall Hutch did a good job for us. So it was a shame that he had that little bit of, little moment to look back on it, if you like. But I think he did a good job overall. Some great tackles. And Jeff Tanganga in defence.
Yeah, I mean, Hutch is great to have, on the sidelines ready to bring in. But it's my real concern now is the defence situation. Because, like I say, Hutch is going to take a bit of time to sort of slot in. I understand Cooper's out for 10 weeks, apparently.
I believe so.
Yeah, with a calf injury. So Hutch is probably going to take a couple of games to settle in. Apparently, Tanganga's 1 yellow away from a one-match suspension. And these are the things that I was concerned about in the summer when we didn't seem to be too active in recruiting in the defence. And I felt perhaps we needed one more good quality centre-back. I know we've got Harding, but again, he's going to be very rusty if he's brought in.
Harding and Harris don't seem to fancy him.
No, he obviously doesn't, which again, causes its own problems. I mean, if, for argument's sake, Tanganga was to get a yellow at Pompey on Wednesday, you're looking at Oxford away next week. We're talking about bringing in Wallace or Harding, and suddenly the defence looks very, very sus. And it's one of those at the moment. I mean, you mentioned there, we've just got 7 points out of a possible 9 at home to 3 definite title contenders.
Yeah.
We're now going to Pompey on Wednesday, who have only won 2 all season, and lost 6-1 at Stoke a couple of weeks back. Then we go to Oxford, who've only won 1 in the last 11, and let in 6 at home to Borough on Saturday. And it's the most Millwall thing in the world to go to those two and not get anything. And I don't want to put the mockers on it, but these are the things that always play on my mind after years of
Millwall support.
Years of being hammered in this way, after all the encouragement of the unbeaten run and doing so well. Yeah. And now you feel it's the sort of winter injury jinx starting to come upon us again, and then
absolutely, mate.
Yeah, 2 games where you think, well, we've got to be good for at least 4 points for these 2 games, and then you just fear the worst. To be honest, I don't want to get too pessimistic.
No.
These are the things that stack up against you, don't they?
Every listener to this podcast is with you, mate. I think we all know what you mean. We're going to take a very short advertising break, and then when we come back, we're going to listen to Ben Anthony. So stay tuned.
Blinds.com's Black Friday sales event is happening now with our best deals of the season. Let our design experts help you make the perfect selection for your home on your schedule. We can send free samples right to you and handle everything from measure to install. With over 25 million windows covered, Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings. Save up to 50% site-wide, plus doorbusters, and a free professional measure at the Blinds.com Black Friday sales event now. Rules and restrictions may apply.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Looking for a pickup truck to get just about anything done? Look no further. The Chevy Silverado EV isn't just the most powerful Silverado ever, with next-level towing capability and technology. It also offers game-changing versatility with the available multi-flex midgate and tailgate, which means Silverado EV helps you carry large, bulky, and oddly shaped items up to nearly 11 feet in length. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. Visit Chevrolet.com to learn more.
Achtung, Millwall.
Hello, Nick. Hello, listeners. Ben Anthony here, calling in after the 1-1 draw with Sunderland. I've not called in a little while. I wasn't very well, so I missed the last few games at home. The last time I saw Millwall at the Den was the 1-1 draw with Derby, and we had a chat after that game where we spoke about a few things I think we got right and a few things we've definitely got wrong. At the time, we said that we felt that there was a turn in form coming, and we said that things might look more positive if we get a few wins on the board. And since then, we've gone unbeaten and had some really fantastic results. And we were talking about the solidity of the defence, particularly with Tanganga, and we were talking about Esse and his impact on the game. But one thing we definitely got wrong is I definitely slagged off Femi Aziz a little bit. He has gone from strength to strength in the last few games, and the last thing that was missing was the finishing touch to put the ball in the back of the net. And so pleased to see him take his chance yesterday and get that last minute equaliser. That was absolutely brilliant, and nice to see Emarku as well have that impact. He was really good for those few minutes when he came on, and took that assist. That cross was absolutely spot on. So well done. I thought the whole team, the second half was absolutely immense. So impressed with the squad of players and their sort of never say die attitude. The first half, I think we gave them far too much respect, and we sat off and let Sunderland dictate the play. But one thing I did notice was the halftime break, which obviously was heavily delayed, and hoping that those two fans that fell ill are okay and on the road to recovery. But the thing I noticed is Harris sent the players out really early for the second half, and they were warming up and getting themselves ready, and the Sunderland players came out last second and just kicked off, and we all were ready for him, and we gunned for him in that second half. And I just felt like Sunderland, they were rattled by us, and we absolutely took that on board, and I think the fans got involved, and that second half was us at our best, and we were more than deserving of that equaliser. So the unbeaten run continues, and we're in that good form, and the squad togetherness. We've got to hope that the defence can keep solid, particularly now we haven't got Cooper. I thought after about 20 minutes they seemed to work out that back four, what they were doing, and settled a bit. So positive. We've got to keep going now, and come on you Lions.
Big thank you, Ben. Mentioned Romain Esse there, Merv, and it probably wasn't Romain's most impactful game on Saturday, but I think part of the reason for that is that teams are now marking him out as a special man, and
definitely,
he was turning. Some people are slagging him for trying too much, and
I've seen a few of those comments, which I think is it's mad, because that's the player that he is, and he's got to be allowed to make mistakes.
Yeah,
you can't.
I mean, that's his role in the team, to do what others can't do. Yeah. We may not have him beyond January anyway, so those fans will not have anything to moan about. Then they'll have to find someone else to moan about, won't they? He's also running into. He's getting doubled up, and three men on him. Well, that's a tribute to what he can do.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I think if we've got players like Aziz and let's keep our fingers crossed, Emarku available in the side or coming into the game at certain points, then as much attention that Romain is receiving, Merv, that should give them space to attack. And I think that's possibly what we saw Saturday with that wonderful run from Idemo, because it's got to create space for others, isn't it?
Yeah, this is it. And I think we mentioned after the Stoke game that perhaps what we need now is someone who's on perhaps the same wavelength as Esse. And I know he's got a good understanding with Emarku. And I'm guessing, as you say, the more closely Esse's watched, the more space that frees up for the likes of Emarku and Aziz. I'm sure Harris is mindful of that, and that's his plan really, is to provide teams with just too much to handle, and hopefully that'll be the case.
Yeah, absolutely. An interesting partnership as well, a linkage perhaps with Tom Bradshaw, which you mightn't have expected. But when they seem to combine quite nicely on a couple of occasions, I was quite struck by that. But you're right, the pace of Emarku and the power of Aziz is going to be crucial.
I don't understand the criticism that Bradshaw gets as well, really. A lot of people really seem to have it in for him, and I think they expect him to be a prolific goalscorer as he was in League One with Barnsley, but he's got more to him than that, and I think he must be a nightmare to play against as a defender, because he doesn't stop, does he? And I bet he's and I bet he's a real nuisance. And one of those players you perhaps don't really see the sort of work he does. I mean, personally, I'm surprised he seems to have come back from injury so quickly and almost perhaps jumped ahead of the queue on Longstaff. But I'm wondering if perhaps he's been primed for possible move in January. I don't know, maybe I'm jumping the gun a bit, but I know there was a lot of interest from Wrexham in the summer.
Yeah.
He's international.
Welsh himself, isn't he?
He'd be a brilliant player at that level, and with the sort of football Wrexham play, So for all we know, maybe Harris is. It's not doing him down by saying to get rid of him. It would be a good move for him, probably a good move for all parties if he went there, and maybe we got a few quid for him, and then perhaps Langstaff can then step up more permanently.
It would be nice to see Langstaff feature. I mean, he did come on, but so late that he wasn't really able to do much. And also, if Harris is now moving towards more of a two-man attack at certain points,
good, I think.
You'd think that's Langstaff's, happy ground, isn't it?
Definitely,
place.
I think he wants to play off someone without a doubt, and hopefully the future is the future that Harris sees is Langstaff and Ivanovic once Coburn goes back to Borough. And I saw people saying that, getting the hopes up that because Borough are scoring 6 away to Oxford, that they might consider a cheeky offer in January. But I just don't think that's on the table at all. I think they want him back, and he definitely is a stopgap while we bring Ivanovic up to speed. And that I think Ivanovic and Langstaff is probably the future there, which is great.
I agree.
Rather than totally relying, as we have done in the past, we're literally totally reliant on our loan signs, and we're thinking, well, what we're going to do when so-and-so goes back in the summer because we can't sign him. And you start again, as we did under Rowett, which I sort of felt sorry for Rowett in a way for that, because he was able to bring in loan signings that made the team better. But then in the summer they went and he had to start again, and with newer players. But now we've got that fallback of Langstaff and Ivanovic, hopefully, and we can just sort of just carry on the momentum, hopefully.
Incidentally, mentioning the name of Coburn, I thought was in a right battle. He's been physically in a battle last few games, but he certainly was Saturday, Merv. And that was a strong central defence. I mean, Dan Ballard and the 26. I don't know about 26 his name, but they were giving Coburn. And he was giving it back. It was a physical battle, and I think if I was a Middlesbrough scout watching that, I'd be very happy to see that, because I really like the look of that, and he's going to do them a power of good if he will. If he goes back. So fair play, but I think you're right about Ivanovic. That's clearly the future. So big thank you to Ben. Good to hear from you again, mate, and welcome back to the land of the living, etc. So our last little in the Merv section, I'm going to play Glyn Horner.
Hi Nick, Glyn here. I think before anything about the football, just want to send thoughts and best wishes to whoever it was in the crowd that required the medical attention. That is always sad to see, and I hope whatever was going on there is resolved, and whoever is affected is recovering. But anyway, back to the game. Strangely, up until that point, I think Sunderland were pretty much in the whip hand, and they were pretty much in control of the game. It didn't look good, and we were 1-0 down, and probably, but for Lucas Jensen pulling off some good saves, I think we probably would have been out of the game by half time. That break, I think, just gave the team time to settle themselves, and for Harris to sort of re-emphasise, the attributes he expects from those players, and where what game plan they should have been playing to. They seem to come out a different side and much more organised and aware of each other's roles. And then I think the second half, it was the typical example of a game of two halves. Second half, we came out and for my money, looked the better team actually. Definitely had better chances and definitely had enough opportunities. I think there's a few gilt-edged chances there that Jaffet probably should have buried. He's not the only one, but there was some good balls into the box. I think our corners and our free kicks, there was one particularly from Joe Bryan, which I thought was excellent and really should have been stuck in the back of the net. So I'm glad to see our free kicks are improving, and it certainly looks like we're getting better. But now to the equalising goal, and wow, what a goal that was. I think, we got to look at it in several ways. First, it was a break from the opposition through on goal. Probably should have been called offside, wasn't. And Lucas Jensen, from a goalkeeping perspective, was near perfect in this instance. He positioned himself perfectly, he stood upright and maintained his frame, gave the striker something to think about, and so he tried to put it through his legs, and Jensen wasn't going to let that happen. So that's where the attack starts, bizarrely, because the ball then sort of flies out and gets knocked upfield. Emaku manages to keep the ball in, which is huge credit to him, but gets wiped out in the process. Jumps straight back to his feet and is ready to receive the ball. And I think it was probably from Denora, actually. I may be wrong on that, but the ball comes back to him because after getting absolutely sort of swiped off the field, he jumps back on his feet, runs down the wing and calls for the ball back. And I think that's huge credit for the lad there. Great mentality, great attitude. Ball comes to him, and then he shows great skill and ability where he just powers through the defenders. Really shows them that he's got a change of pace and keeps the ball under control and plays him probably the ball of the game. Puts it not on the plate because it still needed a calm head and finishing. And if I'm honest, when I saw Bradshaw was sort of trundling towards it, I was, it was beyond him. He wasn't going to make it. So thank God Femi Aziz, a young lad with some real raw pace, was there to sort of put himself in a great scoring position, but then showed great quality to put that ball in the back of the net. So, yeah, from Lucas Jensen to Adamo Maku to Casper Denor making that pass to a Maku again, then roasting in defence, playing in the superb ball, and Femi Aziz really showing real class and quality. Well done. I think, that was a great moment, and I think, I was watching it on stream, but really, really delighted with the, with the noise that I heard in the ground. I'm hoping to get to some games soon. I can't wait to get in amongst it. It sounds superb. So well done to the lads. Great goal. All the best. Come on, you Lions.
Fantastic, Glyn. Great message, mate. Some interesting points in there, Murph. I mean, I think it's probably worth mentioning two names there. One is Casper Denor. I don't think we've mentioned him between us so far, and that's not fair on the boy, because I think he did, especially in the second half, he really came into his own. And also Lucas Jensen, because he did keep us in the game. There were one or two moments. He had to make some saves in the first half. And he's really come into his own. After a difficult start at the club, coming into some difficult boots to fill in Matthias Sarkic. And he had a wobble, and you could easily see how that could have got to him, but he's come through that. He's shown a lot of mental strength. I think that the whole side has. So has Adamo Maku, so has Femi Aziz, and that's a really, really strong trait in this side: mental resilience. Yeah,
I mean, with Marcus Jensen, it's like, as I said at the start of the show, we've lost two now since that 4-3 defeat at Bristol City, which was our second game of the season, and we just come off the back of a 3-2 defeat home to Watford, and a lot of the fingers were being pointed at Jensen, and he dropped a few clangers in friendlies, and people were starting to question if he could cut it.
Is he good enough?
Yeah, and he's admitted us. There was a really good recent interview with him in the Southwark News, I think it was, and he admitted it was the adjustment was tricky, and you're learning to work with a new back four, and people don't sort of appreciate all what's involved in that. How it takes time to sort of gel. You can't just do it on the training ground. You've got to do it with sort of match minutes, and you've got to sometimes learn the hard way. But he's obviously got a fair amount of resilience about him, and yet, like I say, his contribution to the equaliser on Saturday, I think, is the same as Denori. He's probably gone overlooked. You just see the run from Emaku, the ball, and the finish from Aziz. But you take it back a few moves, and his role in it, and Denori's is brilliant. And it can only get better because I think he's improving with every game.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's, the expectations on players, it's easy to say, he's a professional, he should be able to slot straight in. He's a good goalkeeper at a club like Lincoln, which, no disrespect to them, is not the same as playing in front of a Millwall crowd on big occasions.
Yeah.
and also you've got to find your place, Merv. It's like anything in life. You when you walk into a new office, a new workplace of any kind, you're having, and especially if you're as a goalkeeper, you've got to command and potentially bollock some serious personalities in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're talking to the likes of Tanganga, who's played at a level. Jake Cooper, who's a serious figure at the club. Ryan Leonard and Joe Bryan. We'll come back to him in a moment, but I don't think it's easy. You've got to do it fast, and there's no room for error because you're judged on your mistakes.
Yeah.
So I think the boy's shown a really, really strong attitude, and I've got to take my hat off to him. Glyn mentioned Joe Bryan. I've seen a lot of comments, and I've not been his greatest fan, Merv. I don't know how you stand on the Joe Bryan question, but I think you've got to be fair in your criticism, listeners. I mean, you can't just say he's shit because that's. I thought on Saturday some of the crossing was creating chances, and I think Glyn made a very good point that Tanganga probably would have hoped to have done a bit better with a couple of those headers he had. And those balls have got to be put there, and they were being put into those positions by Joe Bryan. So you can't not acknowledge when he's done well. And I thought he did okay. I mean, I think his defensive side is where perhaps I personally would still go with Danny Mack, but I didn't think it wasn't that bad. Sadly, that's probably what I was driving at. Yeah,
but I think this is the issue with Joe Bryan. He's a very different left-sided defender that most Millwall fans are used to seeing. He plays a different way, and he offers lots to the team in attacking. But I've often thought he's perhaps sometimes goes missing or not as effective. Defending. I think Harris sees that as a trade-off. For what he offers attacking-wise and the chance of getting goals is worth having, and hope that the defence as a whole can cope with perhaps if he does have any sort of deficiencies, but he shouldn't do. He's played at a high level, but again, he's played in he's played in a very different style of football as well. So it's just a matter of taking the rough with the smooth with him. But I think on the whole, he's a good asset to the squad, definitely.
I mean, I think, again, we're talking about mental strength and resilience. Any Millwall player that's prepared to go on in the public and talk about coffee shops and his love of cappuccino and the kind of the heart shape in the foam when he's buying an American flat or whatever it's called. Yeah. I'm probably getting my coffees mangled there, Murph. I mean, it shows bravery. Definitely. I don't think we can query and question his courage. So big thank you there to Glyn. I want to say a big thank you to you, Merv, for coming on the show, mate. Good to talk to you again. Nice to catch up. And as always good to run over the game and review a few of the voice notes. I should be back after these messages with more of your voicemails. But for the moment, it's big thank you, Merv Payne. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, Nick. Thanks a lot.
Gift sport with gifts from Nike. From the retro Vomero 5 sneaker designed with Zoom Air cushioning to fleece engineered with lightweight warmth and next-level comfort. We have the perfect gift for any athlete on your list. Shop now at your nearest Nike store.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
At Mayo Clinic in Florida, we're detecting the undetectable with AI technology that can spot signals in the human voice that are indicators of heart disease. Learn more at mayoclinic.org/possible. Mayo Clinic, you know where to go.
Achtung, Millwall.
Welcome back to the show, dear listeners. Big thank you to Merv and to everyone who's contributed their voice notes to this show and our part one. If you would like to join our little posse of post-match contributors, you'd be most welcome. I welcome any content, anytime. Give me a shout on X. I'm on achtungmillwall on X. You can direct message me on there, and you can, if you want, use that to send a voice note on the direct message. Just press a little voice command, then it will send me your post-match thoughts. If not, send me your mobile number and I'll send you mine back, and we can use WhatsApp. Really appreciate everyone that contributes to the show. It really makes for an enjoyable piece when we do these. I've now got, though, the remaining voice notes from Saturday's 1-1 draw, and we're going to begin the final lap of this week's coverage with Adam Wicks and then Angelo Miliotto. So Adam first, then Angelo.
Morning, Nick. It's just Adam Wicks here, just leaving my post-match thoughts after yesterday's 1-1 draw with Sunderland. I think just obviously firstly, hopefully everybody's all right that had some sort of medical incident yesterday and they all got home safely back to their families. Just on the game, obviously first half was disjointed with what happened, but I really thought that was the sort of most ineffective half I've seen us play at home for a while. Actually, we were really second best, and despite Sunderland missing a number of their sort of key players, I thought they were a fairly impressive outfit. Actually, they moved the ball around well, caused us some difficulty. Leonard seemed to have a really tough first 20-25 minutes. We gave away. I thought it was a tidy finish from Connolly, but we didn't defend that particularly well. It was a fairly soft header, sort of out to about 18 yards out, and he just finished. Jensen had no chance with that, and we were just on the back foot. I felt for the whole half we didn't really get into it, and I couldn't understand why we went with Watmore when Aziz has been, has really been causing teams all sorts of problems recently. It seemed quite a baffling one. Honeyman, I don't know if he's got something up with him. Maybe he's carrying a knock or something, I don't know. But he really wasn't at the races, couldn't seem to get close to anybody. We struggled to build anything at all. It was very unlike us performance, and to be fair, Sunderland probably should have put us to bed in that half. The fact that they didn't obviously come back to bite them. Then obviously get into the second half, we played much better on the front foot, really getting at them, which was really good. Bradshaw coming on at half time, I think we've all got a lot to be thankful for Tom Bradshaw over the years. He's chased down thankless tasks. He's run himself into the ground for us, and he's been a fantastic servant. I think with some of the other options we've got now, I'm curious as to why that was the go-to change to make something happen. Does worry me a little bit that's where we went with some of the other options we had on the bench. If I was Macaulay Langstaff, I'd certainly be asking some questions, because I think he's looked incredibly sharp, and all of a sudden he seems to have found himself fourth in the pecking order for a starting, for being up front, which I find very, very strange, because he looked incredibly sharp. And then all I say is I think we got there eventually with the changes. Aziz, when he came on, provided some real drive, and I think Sunderland were fortunate that it went to the sort of 92nd, 93rd minute before we finally scored. It was a good save from Jensen to even keep that ball alive, and then us to work the ball up the pitch. Amaku, showing what he can bring to the team when we're chasing the goal. Just that direct run-in power. And then I think it was just a ball into an area, but Aziz obviously there to finish it. I'm delighted for him getting his first goal. I think it keeps the unbeaten run going. We're obviously not going to win every single game at home as much as we'd all love to. I do feel they were sort of there for the taking in the second half. We never really quite got our stamp on things. And obviously the news of Cooper being out for 10 weeks is, quite a blow. I think it does concern me how we're going to fill that void, but obviously provides opportunities now, doesn't it, for other players to impress? So let's see what happens. Anyway, I'll see anyone who's going to Fratton Park on Wednesday night. Should be a good game, hopefully, and we can pick up where we left off in the second half. But anyway, come on, you Lions.
Hello, Nick. It's Angelo, mate. Just dropped my son and his mates off, and I thought, you know what, I haven't left the voice note for a while, so thought I could leave you my 2 for the game today, mate. Obviously, game of two halves. I actually expected Sunderland not to be able to cope with the Den, but I thought first half they coped with it very, very comfortably. Whereas in the second half, when we made the switch to 4-4-2, they didn't cope with it. Because obviously they're such a young squad, I just thought that they wouldn't be able to handle it. But credit to them, first half I thought they'd done really well, but second half we were just completely on top. But yeah, brilliant, mate. Fucking, I just, if we had another 5 minutes, I think we might have even fucking won the game, mate. But I thought the subs were brilliant, mate. Aziz, from the minute he come on, he did not put 1 foot wrong. Every touch he made was class, and every move he made was forward movement. I thought he was, for the short period of time he was on the pitch, I thought he was phenomenal, mate. And I was so pleased that Maku got the assist, mate. You know, the Serb just about managed to get the ball out to Aziz, and fantastic ball across, mate. Yeah, although it's a draw, it feels a little bit like a win, doesn't it? But yeah, I thought the subs done fantastic. I'm hearing bad news about Cooper. Looks like it could be a long-term injury. But I thought Hutch done okay. Jaff done some amazing tackles towards the end of the game, and that fighting spirit in the end got us that 1 point. And yeah, so thoroughly enjoyable game and enjoyable afternoon. Sad that there was, I think there was 2 medical emergencies. I hope the guys are all right. But yeah, listen, it's a point against the top of the table. We'll take it, mate. And let's hope we can get a couple of good results on the road now, Portsmouth and Oxford. Nick, I hope you're well, mate, and yeah, have a good weekend. And come on, you Lions.
Great to hear from you, Angelo. And before Angelo, to Adam as well. 2 great messages there. Just going back to Adam's point, listeners, about Macaulay Langstaff. Yeah, I think he is entitled to have the hump a little bit, that he wasn't, I mean, featured, didn't he, Saturday, but late. The only thing I can really say back, and, you know, I don't even know if I believe it myself, to be honest with you, Adam, but there's a need for squad rotation. I suppose that's why we didn't see Aziz starting on Saturday, because we're going to need him, possibly, his pace and power. And maybe even a Marco, I might even say the same now, which I didn't expect. Maybe need to see him at Pompey and at Oxford next Saturday. The way the fixtures run, especially with these international breaks, and Harris made this point before the most recent international break, is you're getting a lot of football in very short bursts, and managing that, especially, you know, injuries now. Angelo's just mentioned the injury to Jake Cooper, so somehow we've got to manage the central defensive positions as well as other places. But certainly going forwards, I think there's a certain touch of trying to manage thoroughbred horses, that you don't want to overrun them, you don't want to over push them, and that's possibly the reason why. Who knows who starts at Fratton Park and then at the Kassam Stadium next Saturday. I can't believe we won't see Macaulay Langstaff at all, but he's clearly entitled to think that he's shown enough for us when on the occasions he has started to show that he can play in that Tom Bradshaw style of role. Maybe Harris favours Bradshaw as the the original still being the greatest, like the song says. Angelo's point about the spirit, yeah, I mean, this is one thing that I've got to take my hat off to Neil Harris. We've said it before, said it to Merv earlier on in this show. He gets the den. Cliche, I know. But he understands the club, he understands the support, he understands after a poor first half that you've got to give him some red meat, and if we did get that Saturday, and the spirit to make a comeback against a decent side. We've beaten 2 very decent sides in Burnley and Leeds, and then we've held Sunderland, a very well-resourced club. And I think, as Angelo says, if it had gone on for a little bit longer, we may well have nicked it. But there we are. Big thank you to the chaps there. We're going to carry on our voice notes now with 3 in a row. We're going to do David Lederkramer, Joe Chatts, and then Lawrence Binney. So 3 from the boys, and I'll be back after that.
Hi Nick, David Lederkramer here. I'm back at the Den, or I was back at the Den yesterday after an absence of a few weeks, and I enjoyed the game. Well, I didn't enjoy the first half, which I thought was pretty dreadful, and we didn't really create a single chance as far as I can recall. The medical emergencies, obviously the staff of both clubs did really well, and one hopes that the 2 people involved are okay, and there have been no problems. But first half, we just seemed to have this really very ordinary tactic of lumping it up to Coburn, who was well marshalled by their defence. And although he won quite a few balls in the air and he got a few fouls, we didn't seem to run off him or do anything to support him. So inevitably there were no chances. They, on the other hand, looked really up for it. They were much better on the ball. They passed it far better. They were sharper, and they thoroughly deserved to be 1-0 up. Probably actually could have been more if truth be told. The second half, totally different story. I think we sort of got back into it a lot more. They started to defend deeper and deeper. We were much more at it. The crowd were behind us, and we started to create chances. They obviously were suffering from a number of injuries, and I think in the second half, the fact that they were putting in a sort of, I wouldn't say a second squad, but obviously reserve players or players who wouldn't normally feature started to show. We really started to turn the screw, but I had a feeling it was going to be one of those days where we were just simply not going to have the luck of the green. Harris threw the kitchen sink at the situation towards the end, and I thought Imarku obviously gets past a tiring defence, lays a really good cross in, and there's Aziz to finish it and score a goal. Aziz is someone I really like. I think he will feature much more in the next couple of games. Lucas Jensen, I thought, had an excellent game. Esse had one of his poorer games, but apart from that, a draw was the fair result. Okay, come on, you Lions.
Hey, hope you're well. Joe from Chicago. What a result. Obviously hope the supporter who needed help is doing all right. Wow, what a result. The fact that we can play so poorly for a lot of that match, question our manager's decisions, and still steal a point, albeit at home, against a really good Sunderland team who were really injured. That's a game I just felt like we were going to lose. It felt bad from kickoff, and just stealing a point at home against Sunderland, we will take that. It's all right. Hope everything's well. Femi Aziz needs to start, and oh my gosh, Imaku is fast. And if Cooper's out long term, we're kind of fucked. But yeah, this team's got some character to it. Come on, you Lions. Have a great one.
Right, Nick, it's Lawrence Binney calling in after Millwall 1, Sunderland 1. First and foremost, I want to send my best wishes to the bloke who was taken ill during the game. Looked a really serious one, but praying that it was more of a scare than anything more serious. It looked like he was sitting up as he was being taken away in the ambulance, so that's hopefully good news. But yeah, I think we're all kind of glued to socials, looking for updates, and hopefully we'll see him again at the Den very soon. As for the game, yeah, a bit of a strange one, wasn't it? It felt like a game of about four quarters rather than 2 halves because of the aforementioned suspension. Also, what was the whole point of like having the players go for 25 minutes and then having half time again for the full regulation 15 after 5 minutes of play? That was a bit silly. Maybe there's something in the rules and regulations that the referees had to adhere to, but yeah, it seemed a bit daft from the outside. As for the game, I mean, that first half, probably about as poor as we played, I think, this season. Maybe the Cardiff game can give it a run for its money, but yeah, that was a difficult watch. I really felt that we looked unsettled by Cooper's absence.
I think that was really noticeable on the ball, the way that we were passing it across the back line. Players weren't where they kind of where we expected them to be, and I think there was a little bit of a settling in period for Tanganga and Hutch, who I think are both naturally leaders, about who was coming, who was going, who was taking the leadership role. But we did settle into it as the game went on, and by the end of the first half, we're at least getting some balls into the box. I thought Sunderland looked a tidy side for the first half. They don't dominate the ball like Burnley and Leeds do, but they've got good kind of young technical players. And I always sort of felt whenever they had the ball near our box that there would be something at the end of it, which I don't think you could say for Burnley or Leeds. So yeah, it was no surprise when their goal came from a really nice volleyed finish actually from that lad Connolly. Second half, completely different story. That intensity was back. We picked up the fluidity gradually. We were still a bit, I think ultimately we're probably like a mid-table side, so I can't really criticise too much when we don't have that quality in the final third. But there were some moments where you were just like, for fuck's sake, like, pick up your head and look up. Do you know what I mean? Like, especially Watmore, who I think is like so good in those away games where he presses defences, but in the home games it's like it's him running into blind alleys half the time. So I was really pleased when Aziz came on, who I think doesn't give us that same intensity in the same way that Watmore does, but is able to kind of manipulate the space, has a bit more of an end product, and just seems like a really intelligent footballer, kind of in the mould of an essay type, maybe with not quite so much skill. So yeah, I mean, second half we dominated it. I thought we were really good, relentless. Everyone seemed to be on the same page, and I don't know. Even when Tanganga misses that header at the end, I really felt like we had one more chance left in us, and we could have won it at the end as well if SA picks the right ball out. He didn't have his best game today. He kind of feels like he's trying a bit too hard at the moment. All of those moments of magic are still there, but I just feel like he's doing a difficult part and maybe making it a bit too complicated for himself. But he's young. He's going to have games like that. Overall, yeah, really good performance. I thought 1-1 probably fair in the end. Yeah, just a quick word about actually before I go, a quick word about Joe Bryan. Very strange footballer. Clearly is technically, in terms of natural talent, the best fullback at the club. But he has that air of, I work in the public sector, he has that air of, those professionals who come to the workplace in their mid-50s, usually on like a 0.6, 0.8 hour contract, sort of just counting down the days for retirement. We'll turn up on time, but also leave as soon as it's 5 o'clock. They've left the building, won't come out to the pub after for a drink. This is all fine. You're perfectly entitled to do that. I do get a sense that maybe football is not his absolute number one priority at the moment, which I think in a profession like football stands out, because you kind of do expect your the players in your team to play like you would on the pitch, like their supporters. I think you can see that from everyone, but I think with Joe Bryan it's like, I'm going to put in a perfectly competent performance, but that's all you're going to get from me. And I don't think it keeps him up at night when he puts in a poor one. But that's fine. It's good to have him. He's really good. He's a really good option to have there alongside Danny. So, but yeah, I just I can sort of see him becoming a bit of a boo boy, and not that I don't think he'd really give a shit, to be honest. If we don't see maybe a bit more passion from him, but it's a minor nitpick. On the whole, yeah, I think we're set for mid-table this season. I think we're comfortably between 9th and 12th from what I've seen. I don't think we have the quality for a top 6 push, but with all those young players coming through, who knows? Fantastic work on the pod as always, Nick. On to Portsmouth on Tuesday. Take care. Bye.
That description of the 50-something-year-old professional going home at 5 o'clock, taking his hour lunch and doing all that kind of stuff. Until you said not going to the pub, Lawrence, but that description sounded like you'd seen me at work, mate. I was getting worried. Has he been looking over my shoulder? But no, if I could get down the pub, I would do. Joe Bryan, what a strange character. Very un-Millwall character, I think, in many ways, for the reasons that you've touched on so well there. He reminds me of Scott Malone, but minus the kind of hardcore nutter mentality. I thought it actually wasn't so bad in his attacking moves on Saturday. There's always a criticism you can level at Joe Bryan for his defensive qualities. Personally, I would be playing Danny Mack despite his right-footedness in that left side role. But clearly, Neil Harris wants Joe Bryan. We may see Danny at somewhere like Pompey or at Oxford next Saturday. I don't know. Is he a player that you could fall in love with? No, he's very much not. He's a kind of there's a certain kind of so what quality to him, which I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Lawrence. Is he time serving? Don't know. We've all been there, listeners. We've all been there, mate. So big thank you to Lawrence and to everyone for the contributions to the show. Joe out there in Chicago and David Lederkramer as well. If you want to join the gang, as I've said, do give me a shout on X or but email me. I'll stick an email address in the show notes. That's the show for this week. We're going to play ourselves out now with the one and only voice of Bobby T, who I did have the pleasure of meeting. I was doing a little bit of bucket shaking for a fantastic cause, which is the Melza, the kids' hospice in Eltham in the southeast London. And up comes Bobby T. Lovely bloke. Really nice to meet you, Bob. Big shout out to you, mate. Keep the messages coming. Messages like this one, dear listeners. So we're going to play out now with Bobby's stream of consciousness. Big thank you to you too, dear listeners, for tuning into these two shows. Hope you enjoyed them. We'll be back after the Pompey game and certainly after the Oxford game next weekend. So until then, from me, Nick Hart, signing out. It's Arrivederci Millwall. Take it away, Bob.
Nick Hart, Bobby T. Not half time yet, but I think the fan is all right. Thank God he's, I don't know, there's a fan gone ill in the crowd. And hopefully that'll kick up Millwall's fight for life, because Millwall are not at the races, mate. Hutchinson, why is he playing? Where the fuck is Cooper? It was his back pass header, soft header, easy volley. And it's like little kids running around Millwall. Millwall stand up and fight. We've had a halt to the game, Nick Hart, but all I know is I don't know what's happening, mate, but come on, Wall. Fuck me. Can you fucking believe it? Bradshaw, a fucking joke. Nick Hart, Bobby T. Full time. I'm going to calm down and all that. Yes, for me, point well deserved. I give a lot of credit to, and I've slagged him off a lot of times. I mean, number one, Bradshaw, you saw my half-time rant. How the fuck has he got over fucking Langstaff and Mihailo is beyond me, my wildest dreams. Harris, mate, sort it out, mate. I don't care if he's your fucking mate. But anyway, he didn't do nothing anyway. So that Harris, your subs at the end obviously did work a treat. And I got to commend you, but it was a dull game. Yeah, we deserve the point. Ido Omaku, I've slagged you a lot. I called you League One, like Bradshaw, League One player, can't get in the team. But oh God, my word, your run and cross, across the ball, Aziz pops up. Why didn't Aziz fucking start the fucking game? What more? Done nothing. Tiring, Savile. And this is against the Sunderland team who are kids. And at the end, they got defeated at the end. Yeah, we deserve that point. Mahala, why haven't you started? Harris, wake up! Anyway, my rant's nearly over. I'm happy with the point. Sorry for my language, Nick Hart. I love you as achtungmillwall and my ticket that you got me. You know what? Coffee, my language. Coffee, cunt, Brian, retire. I don't care. You're shit. Why is Hutchinson in the team? Whoever's birthday it was. Where's Cooper? Bobby T back again in the car relaxing after that. Storm Bertie, there was no storm. Sunderland, they weathered the storm and we got a deserved draw. Now, before the game, I wanted 9 points. Now, Oxford and Portsmouth, we're going to get 6 points. Today, I thought it wasn't a good Sunderland. It was a kids' club Sunderland, and they got the Lions storm at the end. Hutchinson, defence mistake on the first. Their only shot on target. Sunderland done nothing. Hutchinson, you header in it right to their player goal. Anyway, and the half-time thing, or before the guy who fell over, or he had a heart, I don't know what happened, but as long as he's all well and he's healthy, that's the main thing. Football is not a matter of life and death, but You know, we go to our families and all that. Millwall till I die. We've got a point. The bigger picture in his life. Hope he's all right to a family and all that. Referee! Fucking awful. Sorry, I've lost it again. Fucking fat piece of shit. On to Pompey. 3 points in the way. And then Oxford next Saturday. Thank you, Nick Hart. Achtung, millwall. Best podcast going. Bye for now, Robbie T. Aziz, I fucking love you. 1-1. Black Cats. Meow. The Lions fucked you. Bye for now. Good evening, Nick Hart. Bobby T at home in the old warm. It's still saying suspended, and it's still saying we lost 1-0. No, we didn't. Yeah, you can't win them all. We're 8 unbeaten. Win, lose, draw, or whatever with Millwall. For me, point gained. You know, but for me, like, you can't win them all, mate. And I know 8 on a row and Sunderland coming into the game. I thought we'd win the game. But on Google now, it's still saying 1-0 Sunderland. Update it, mate. Bye for now, Bobby T. Signing off. Nick Hart, Achtung, millwall. Greatest podcast ever. Bye for now. Pompey, we're coming for you. I need to end it on this, though, right? For me, it's that we said dilemma. Josh Coburn, for me, couple of shots and all that. But Harris, I'm not saying he get it wrong tactics, but we all crying for 4-4-2. Poor Langstaff. Bradshaw, again, I don't care. He runs his socks off, but does fuck all, mate, on the tin. Mihailo looks lively. Harris, when are you going to wake up and smell the coffee? Bye for now. See you on Wednesday.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.